When the first behind-the-scenes video for Downton Abbey 3 dropped on May 13th, 2024, I was like, finally, something concrete. But then we found out that the movie isn't hitting theaters until September 12th, 2025. So yeah, a bit of wait, but here's where things get really interesting. The film might be set against the backdrop of the turbulent 1930s, with economic struggles and the looming threat of another world war shaping the story. That alone makes it feel like the perfect way to close out the franchise. Industry insiders are already buzzing, saying this could be a cinematic masterpiece, especially with the level of detail going into the locations and props. So let's break down everything we know so far. Downton Abbey has captured the hearts of audiences for years, thanks to its perfect blend of history and fiction. The show's early 20th century aesthetic, lavish wealth, and of course, the Crawley family's complex dynamics make it endlessly fascinating. After 6 seasons and 2 successful films, Downton Abbey 3 is officially in production, with the Crawleys and their staff set to take their final bow. As the last movie in the franchise, it's bound to be an emotional ride for longtime fans. One of the reasons Downton Abbey stands out is its commitment to weaving historical events into its narrative. From the very first episode, which tackled the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, to its portrayal of World War I and the extravagant Roaring Twenties, the franchise has always grounded its characters in real-world history. Now, as the timeline moves into the 1930s, there's no avoiding one of the most defining events of the decade, the Great Depression. The last film, Downton Abbey, A New Era, ended in 1929, just before the stock market crash that triggered the Great Depression. This means Downton Abbey 3 will likely explore the financial devastation that followed. Of course, the filmmakers will take some creative liberties with how much the crisis affects the Crawleys. But given the show's track record, we can expect a historically faithful depiction. In fact, the Downton Abbey films have been hinting at economic uncertainty since the very first movie. Lady Mary, in particular, has often questioned whether the estate could survive in the modern world. But the Great Depression won't just challenge the Crawleys' relevance. It could threaten their entire way of life. It's one thing to be considered old-fashioned. It's another to face financial ruin in an era where even the wealthiest families struggled to keep their estates afloat. The impact of the Great Depression wasn't just felt in the United States. It was a global crisis that hit the UK hard as well. Given that the Crawleys have connections to both sides of the Atlantic, the financial collapse is bound to affect them. We could see them forced to downsize their extravagant lifestyle, cutting back on luxurious clothing, lavish parties, and even their beloved estate. Historically, many aristocratic families in England were forced to sell their homes during this time, and Downton Abbey 3 might explore the possibility of the Crawleys facing the same fate. But the Crawleys aren't the only ones at risk. The real heartbreak could come from the impact on their beloved staff. Many of the franchise's most cherished characters work at Downton Abbey, and if the family can no longer afford to keep them employed, they may be left without a livelihood. Finding work in the middle of a financial crisis would be incredibly difficult, and the show could explore how these characters adapt or struggle to survive in a world that's changing faster than they ever expected. If the Crawleys do end up losing Downton Abbey, it would be a truly bittersweet ending to the franchise. This house has always been more than just a home. It's been a symbol of stability, tradition, and legacy. Lady Mary, as the legal heir, has always fought to preserve it for future generations, especially for her children. But if they are forced to leave, it raises an unsettling question. What happens to the family's future? The idea of the Crawleys leaving their ancestral home is almost unthinkable, but it would be a fitting way to close out the series. The world of Downton Abbey has always been about change, whether it was adapting to war, shifting societal expectations, or the rise of new technologies. If the franchise ends with the Crawleys stepping into an uncertain future, it would be a poignant reminder that even the grandest of legacies must eventually evolve. Of course, there's always a chance the movie could take a more optimistic route. Perhaps the Crawleys find a way to weather the storm, adapting their estate to survive the new economic reality. After all, history has shown that some aristocratic families managed to hold on to their homes by opening them to the public, turning them into hotels, or finding other creative ways to generate income. If Downton Abbey 3 explores this path, it could offer a more hopeful ending for the Crawleys and their staff. Since Downton Abbey 3 is set in the 1930s, capturing the essence of the Great Depression will require precise attention to locations that reflect the economic struggles of the time. While Highclere Castle remains the heart of Downton Abbey, portraying the financial hardships of the era means the filmmakers may have to expand beyond the grand estate to show the stark contrast between the wealthy and those struggling to survive. In order to depict the widespread impact of the Great Depression, Downton Abbey may showcase both urban and rural settings. Cities like London and Manchester were hit hard by unemployment and financial collapse, making them ideal locations for showing how the economic downturn affected different social classes. The Crawleys, while aristocratic, will likely have business dealings or acquaintances who suffer from the financial crisis, which could lead to scenes in London's financial district or even working-class neighborhoods. In contrast, the English countryside, including Yorkshire, where Downton Abbey is fictionally set, was affected in different ways. Many estates struggled to maintain themselves, and some aristocratic families were forced to sell their homes. They may introduce locations that depict once thriving estates, now in decline, highlighting the changing times. Towns and villages surrounding grand estates, such as Bampton, which has stood in for Downton Village in the series, could be shown grappling with economic difficulties, with local businesses shutting down and families struggling to make ends meet. Given that the Great Depression originated in the U.S. with the 1929 Wall Street crash, Downton Abbey May 3rd include locations representing the American economic downturn. The Crawleys have connections to the U.S. through Cora Crawley's side of the family, and if the film decides to explore this, we could see American settings like New York or Chicago, perhaps through letters, news reports, or even a character traveling overseas. The film might depict high society families in America dealing with the financial collapse, providing a parallel to what the Crawleys are experiencing in England. The film may also highlight the effects of the Great Depression through locations like abandoned factories, workhouses, or labor protest sites. With Downton Abbey 3 serving as the franchise's final chapter, every location will play a role in telling the story of change, survival, and the end of an era. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.